because after I posted that market crash, the S&P 500 is really the S&P 7, and it's being held up by Treasury Secretary Yellen and Powell. So there's no correlation between the economy and what Yellen and Powell are doing. Now, I say one more thing is that I'm a little strange in that I like crashes. So this next crash is going to be really, really good, but it'll bring down gold, silver, Bitcoin stocks. But the good news is a crash is a good time to get rich. So that's why I'm optimistic, and I'm very optimistic on gold, silver, and Bitcoin, not on stocks. Well, the big debate is there inflation or deflation? And if you look historically, what's happened today is the nominal debt to GDP is a correlation of M2, the volume of money, times the velocity of money.
Right.
And the reason Yellen and Powell are scrambling is because they've expanded M2, so everybody thinks there's going to be inflation. But velocity of money, which is what Jim Records and I always talk about, the velocity of money is plummeting. People are not spending. So they pump all this money in, prices go up. Meanwhile, the Asians are catching up now. The ports are finally open. So it is transitory inflation. But the problem is we're stacked with this massive debt, and all it's done is bump up the stock market and real estate market. The money has not gone into the economy. That's the sad part. So the rich get richer, but the poor and middle class are getting poorer. It is tragic what's happening today. Well, I don't know what it'll exactly be, but you can't keep printing fake money. That's M2. And the velocity of money keeps dropping, but the debt keeps going up. So you and I don't have to go to Harvard to understand that's not good. So they're just going to keep doing the same old thing. And meanwhile, that's what we're doing today is actually going to kill the economy too, because you and I are now on, let's say, Zoom. So technology is going to wipe out more jobs. Like, who's going to fly? Who's going to stay at a hotel? I can now do more seminars in a day. I did one the other day. I did a recording in Europe. I did one in the States, and then that evening I did one in Singapore. I don't climb on an airplane? So meanwhile, they're trying to keep these dead industries afloat, and somebody's going to say, hey, it cannot go much further, and it's coming this October because the velocity of money is now too slow. Savings are going up, spending is going down. It's going to be the biggest crash in world history. We have never had this much debt pumped up. Debt is the biggest problem of all, but that's called M2, money supply. And the debt to GDP ratio is out of sight. So when it comes down, which it brings everything down with it, that's when I'm going to be buying more gold, silver, and Bitcoin. If I could say a couple of more things, is published this book here. It's called The Capitalist Manifesto. It comes out November 10th. And I want to give people the big picture. The reason I don't care for Yellen or Powell, because they're both Marxist. And when I say that, I get nailed. But I will read you a quote from Lenin. Okay, this is Vladimir. He says, the establishment of a central bank, this is a direct quote, is 90% of a communizing of a nation. That's Yellen and Powell. And the other statement from Lenin is, and this is in manifesto here, the best way to destroy the capitalist system is to debauch the currency. So Michelle, every time I've been on your program, I just say the same thing. I like gold, silver, Bitcoin because I don't trust the Treasury. I don't trust the Fed. And Ron Paul said we should end the Fed. I agree with him. They're actually Marxist organizations. And that's what I cover in my book coming out November 10th, the Marine Corps birthday, is we need the Capitalist Manifesto. And that's why our gold, silver, and Bitcoin are for capitalists. I'd say it's desperate people doing desperate things. And as you and I know, the stock market, like I said, it's not the S&P 500, it's the S&P 7. And the separation between the stock market and the economy has never been worse. I I'm just disturbed because the money is staying only in the investor market. Every time the Fed does something, the Treasury does something, only guys like me get richer. But the money is not going into the real economy. They're not investing. They haven't invested for years in plant and equipment. So we have massive, massive unemployment and underemployment. And that's why I quote Lenin, the establishment of a central bank is 90% of communism. And the best way to destroy a capitalist system is to debauch the currency. That was in 1971 that Nixon took the dollar off the gold standard. So in this book here, I kind of woke up in 1972 as a Marine pilot flying in Vietnam. And I went behind enemy lines in Vietnam looking for gold because it was illegal in 1972 for Americans to own gold. Because I bought gold when it was $350 an ounce. You see, every professional investor knows it's not when you sell, it's when you buy. So I bought Bitcoin at 6,000 and 7,000. So I'm just saying, I'm a pure capitalist. When markets crash, it's the best time to get rich. So I'm getting very excited about a crash coming because the better stocks will come available. Unfortunately, Michelle, there would be massive social unrest. That's what I'm more concerned about, because we have not reinvested. The Fed and the Treasury have only invested in the investor class. They haven't invested in the working class. And the working class is without jobs, without pay, without this. Their 401ks are going to get toasted. And that's why I'm more saying, I don't like what's happening. I mean, I live in Arizona. Our southern border is wide open. In Afghanistan, they armed the Taliban. And then they took our weapons, they gave our best weapons to Russia and China. And now the Taliban will use our weapons against our only ally in the region, Israel. Something really strange is going on, Michelle. So that's why I wrote this book a while ago. It's called The Capitalist Manifesto. We have to fight back against socialism and Marxism. That's on. I've tuned in to YouTube and all the financial markets 24/7. And that's one of the best things about technology. This COVID thing really pushed up technology. And I love YouTube. I listen to some of the most smart guys on planet Earth. And I was listening to Lacey Hunt, and he's talking about deflation. Then I listen to Rickards, and he talks about deflation. And Yellen and Powell, who work for the Fed and for the Treasury, they both worked for the Fed, which again is a communist organization. He'll say so in here. Time to wake up is what I'm saying.
All right.
Well, that's a great question, because the only reason you'd be worried, it really goes back to what did you buy?
Yeah.
Remember, your profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. So I remember in 2000, gold went down to like 300 or something like this. I thought I died and went to heaven. I just backed up the truck. So when Bitcoin went to, let's say, 20,000, I was going, well, that's kind of interesting. So when it backed down to 3, then rebounded to 6, I picked it up at 6, and it's 41 today. So your profits are made when you buy, not when you sell. So if you're worried about your position, you probably bought too high.